it's Katie, and today we've got a very easy, fun, simple craft that is just very satisfying and can whimsify your house really quickly. So this is something I initially just did in the guest bed with all the outlet covers in there, whether it's for light switches or for actual outlets. But I went ahead and took some wallpaper and I covered the outlets in there, and I love, love, love the look of those. So we've decided to go around our whole house and do all the outlets, at least the light switches, with the wallpaper too. So I've already gone around the house and I've picked up all of the light switches that we haven't covered yet, and I have those ready to go. I went ahead and cleaned them off because they haven't been cleaned in a long time. Plus you touch light switches a lot and they get really germy, so I just Cloroxed all of them. And that way the wallpaper will also adhere better, so that'll be really nice. But I've actually used this wallpaper on another craft. I have this cart actually right behind me that was just plain white, and I got it for postpartum care and stuff and toys for baby. I covered that with the wallpaper because I had extra from my light switch project, and I loved that one too. I just basically can't get enough of this wallpaper. But unfortunately, I've also got one outlet cover that completely got busted the week before last in our bathroom. I don't know how. It's one of the least used outlet covers in our house, but it still got busted. So instead of going back to Lowe's, we already went to Lowe's this morning and I forgot to grab one. But instead of going back to Lowe's, I'm gonna hot glue this and then see if the hot glue plus the wallpaper is enough to fix it, at least just for a placeholder on the wall. And same thing with this one. It's got a little crack in it as well, so I'm just gonna, hi baby. So I'm just gonna run a bead of hot glue across the back just to see if that'll shore it up a little bit, so it'll be enough to, between the wallpaper and the hot glue, that it sticks together pretty well. Because why not reuse what you already have instead of buy? We'll see. So first things first, we hot glue. So I tried my best on these. Baby G was just going a little nuts in the background. But I tried my best to hot glue, and I put little seams across the back as well to kind of shore up those cracks too. But onto the actual craft. Next up, we're going to measure out all of the different segments for the light switches, cut those out, and then we'll get to actually adhering them down. When you're cutting out your pieces, you don't have to be that ceremonious. I was honestly not cutting very straight lines here, but that's okay. Just make sure the most important thing is that you're lining up good patterns for the light switches, because you'd want to make sure that that pattern orientation and that the actual things that are going to be appearing on the face look good. So we've got all our pieces cut out now, and we're going to go ahead and adhere them on, and I'll do the first one with you to show you how to do it, and then we'll just speed up the rest. So the first thing you have to do is make sure that pattern is at the correct orientation that you want it to present on the wall. So obviously I want that butterfly facing up, and I like that how that little branch comes across the bottom. So I'm going to keep this orientation. And if you're being really specific, like if you have geometric patterns or want to blend it into your existing wallpaper, then you have to be a lot more strategic on how you place it and where you place it. So you can get very, very picky with this. I'm just personally not, because it's not going to blend into the background of my wall. It's just going to be a pretty accent piece. So once you get the orientation you like, make sure you press it down, no air bubbles, and then you can see that I can even see light through it, which is going to come in handy later. But after you get it pressed down, you want to trim off the excess, making sure that you have about a 1/2 inch space, just so that it can fully wrap around the edge of that light switch or whatever. So you want to make sure that there's just enough excess there that you can work with. Now it's time to trim the corners. So all we're gonna do is create this little triangle in the corner. So I'm just gonna fold it up to find where the wallpaper is going to overlap the corner best, and then I'm gonna cut that triangle on that point, so where when you fold it over, it's going to match perfectly with that corner. Then all you do is rinse and repeat on all 4 corners. And you can pick whichever sides you want to start folding first. I personally like to fold 2 opposite sides, so then I only have to deal with 2 on the other folds. I'll show you in a minute. But all you do is make sure that those lines are crisp, that you hit those corners, and make sure, I use my fingernails here to get that really in all the grooves, to make sure that those are really adhered properly. And here you'll notice too that this wallpaper is covering where that screw is going to go, so I just had to cut a little divot on the back here. Nobody's going to see it, so it really doesn't matter if it looks great or not, so feel free to butcher that back if you need to make room for screws or whatnot. Okay, that's better. So here we are. I'm going to fold that in using my nail just about 45 degrees, and then all you can see is that when I fold that over, it's going to line up perfectly with the 90° of the corner. So here, you want that crease, that edge to line up perfectly there to where it's kind of a seamless fold. And this step is honestly just a little extra. I like to do that. You don't have to do that. You can always kind of cut that area away if you wanted to, but I think the fold is really simple and easy. And then you just repeat the process. You would crease down those edges, making sure that you're hitting those corners really sharp and making sure it adheres really nicely. Now all that's left is to cut holes for the actual light switches or outlets and the screw holes. So I just like to open up my scissors here. You can definitely use an X-Acto blade or whatever you want. Just make sure that you're using a safe backing. I like to hold it up to the light personally, especially with a darker wallpaper. You can see that outline of the light switch or the outlets wherever it goes a lot better if you hold it up to the light. So I'm just having to be very careful on the positioning of the scissors and everything here. So then you can always come in and cut off the excess, because with these larger light switches and outlets, you have a little extra excess wallpaper in the middle that you can just trim down if you want to. Then just like before, you'd push those into the center this time and make those sharp creases with your nail. And then just like on the border, making sure that none of those flaps are gonna overlap on the screw holes so that you can still access those just fine. And it looks so good. We are almost done. We've just got to poke the holes for the screws and then we're good to go. So for this, I'm simply gonna open up my scissors again. You can do this with an X-Acto knife actually as well, but I'm going to push down with my thumb a little bit to make the indentation. And I didn't realize I was off camera at this point, so I'm sorry. But I like to poke my thumb to make a little indentation to see where that circle needs to go. Then you're just gonna poke that tip of the scissor in to create like a little X, and then you can kind of finagle it, push your finger through to kind of open it up a little bit. Or sometimes, like I'll show you in a bit, I like to use a Phillips head screwdriver to also poke through and help poke the wallpaper out of the way so that you can use the screws all right. And there you go, 1 down, 8 to go. Let's speed that up. So they're all covered, yay! Let's go ahead and start poking some holes. Okay, let's slow our roll here. So on cutting these circular outlet covers, they're kind of weird sometimes. So what I'll do is I'll come in with a vertical X shape from those horizontal lines on the top and bottom, and then I'll come in with a straight line right in the middle, left to right, so that it creates a star pattern across the center of the outlet. That way, when you peel them back and you stick them, then it'll be able to cope with those curves just a little bit more with that circle shape. So you won't have to be tearing your wallpaper like crazy. So that's just what I've done and what I found works best, but that's the biggest difference between these square ones and then these random circle ones. And the last step is going to be to take I like a Phillips head screwdriver, and then you can just stick it through the screw holes and swivel it around a little bit, and it pokes those little wallpaper bits through so the screw has a place to go. And that is it for this project. Honestly, these go pretty quick, especially if you batch the process kind of like I did. And you don't have to be super precise about any of it. Which is the really fun part too. But I'm excited to stick these back on the wall and have them spruce up the house a little bit. So thanks for joining me on this fun little easy craft day. If you like quick, easy crafts like this or whimsical things, then go ahead and hit that subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!